So I'm not sure if anybody's here yet. It says that someone's here yet, but um, I figure we'll get started in just a few minutes. If you can hear me okay, let me know. And yeah, so we'll just wait a little bit. It's 12 noon my time right now, which is what my start time was. So I was a little bit early. So yeah, we'll just wait and see if anybody else pops in. Hello, Don't Feed the Bears. I'm glad you're here. I hope you've been having a pretty good week so far. I hope your day has been going well. It does look like I might be having a little bit of connectivity issues on my end. So if anything goes wrong, um, I would recommend just trying to refresh things. For some reason, it looks like just a bad connection today. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I'm sorry that you've got a headache. I hope that goes away soon. But I'm really glad that you're here spending part of your Sunday with me. Hello, Metaloop. Good to see you. I'm glad you could be here today. Hope you've been doing well. I am. Thank you so much for asking. I'm doing very well. today, as I said in my post on the community section of the channel, as well as on Discord and other sources, it's just going to be like a fun, casual chatting live stream. It's been a while since I've been able to have just like a casual, more casual, like themeless live stream, because we've had book club and we've had concert discussions and album discussions. And so it's been a couple of months since we've just been able to kind of talk casually. We'll catch up on some of like the news and things that's going on for BTS, a lot of different news things. And yeah, just in general, we can have some conversation. Oh, no worries at all, Metaloop. I'm glad you could be here to listen, and I hope that it's a good accompaniment to your tasks. To those of you who may have just joined us, I also mentioned that my stream might not be the most stable today. It looks like occasionally I'm having some issues with the quality dipping down to poor. Right now it's stable again, so it should be all right. But if you experience any lagging issues or anything, it might just be on my end. You can always try and refresh. Sometimes that helps people, but any little lagging issues and things might just be on my end. So hopefully it's stabilized now. I'm not quite sure why it hit poor before, but we'll see how it is throughout the rest of the afternoon. All right, so I'll go ahead and get started, because if anybody wanders in, they're not really going to miss anything, since today is just a casual chat, but I'll get my housekeeping out of the way. First and foremost, I just wanted to take a little personal moment to mention I'm very, very, very close to a big video milestone on one of my videos. It's the Pied Piper video, and as of checking this morning, I think there's actually two different, I think one source is lagging a little bit behind the other one, because I have the YouTube Studio app on my phone that gives me, different updates and things about what's going on with the channel. And this morning that said it's 5 away, and the website today said it's 3 away. So they're not quite in conversation with each other, but either way, I'm very, very close to hitting 10,000 views on the Pied Piper video. And at the current rate that things have been going with that video, it'll probably cross within the next few days. And I am extremely, extremely grateful for that. So I just wanted to say a huge thank you to all of you who've watched that video, if you've shared it. I know it got a little bit of a resurgence after Pied Piper in Tampa. So to anybody who maybe found this channel because of that, thank you so much. It's the Pied Piper video is going to be my second most popular video. And the most popular video is one of my very first ones that got traction because the YouTube algorithm really picked it up around the time that BTS's book, Beyond the Story, came out, and people were doing analysis based on that. So that really took off because of the algorithm, and I feel like Pied Piper just kind of found an audience, and I'm really, really grateful for that. So thank you all so much. And thank you, Dopey the Bass. Hello, Javine. It's good to see you. Hi, Lindsay. I'm glad you both could be here today. Thank you for joining me for a fun, casual chat. I hope you guys are having a really good day and a really good week. I'm glad you're spending part of your weekend with me and with all of us. And then the rest of my housekeeping is, you may have seen the live stream schedule that I posted in the post section of the channel. I have a tentative schedule mapped out for my next 2 live streams. All these dates are, of course, subject to change in the event that I get scheduled to work. And if I have to change anything, I will, of course, let you all know ASAP. I'll let you know in the community section of the channel and Discord if you're on there, and just as many places as I can let you know. But as of right now, I'm thinking on the 28th of June, we'll do book club, and our next book will be The Little Prince. And then I figure we'll just do another kind of casual chatting live stream like we are now. And that'll be July 19th. That'll be kind of post a lot of the concerts in Europe. So I'll want to hear about your concert stories and everything. And we'll just have kind of like a fun catch up, opportunity. So all of that subject to change, but that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. Hey, Hitchhiker Hobbit, have a safe trip home and no worries. Listening to it podcast style, it's going to be a very casual chat. Javine, that sounds like a very productive way to spend a Sunday. Metaloop June thought that Swim was lacking love. I've actually thought Swim has been doing very well. I mean, look at them with their rubber duckies there. Song of the summer, am I right? Which, by the way, part of the casual chatting of today is just going to be, we have a lot of, different BTS news and metrics and milestones and things to talk about. And I don't know if any of you were watching the AMAs as they were happening or were just kind of catching it afterwards. I happened to have them on just to see what was going on, and was very delighted to be able to see them win. Well, they showed 2 of the awards, and then the other one was off broadcast. So I technically saw them win 2 awards, but they won 3 for the night. And that was a really fun opportunity to get to see that. So before we dive into just like the casual chatting portion of the day, literally an hour before this stream started, we got what I've personally been waiting for. I'm sure a lot of you have also been personally waiting for it. We have the Festa calendar. Yes, exactly, Javine. I was so excited. I was waiting. And so here is what the Festa calendar looks like. Looks like it's going to be starting on the 4th of June. So we do have a few more days to wait. And then it's going to, of course, be running through their actual anniversary of the 13th of June. So I am really, really looking forward to this. I'm really personally excited that Come Over is getting an official release and lyric video. I would love if it was an actual music video, but I'm not going to be greedy. I'm just excited that, it gets like its official release. I really love that they've been including that song in the concerts, and I think it's been getting really good reception. So I'm very happy that it kind of gets its moment to shine. So that's going to be really fun. Looks like we're going to be getting another run BTS, so that's gonna be great. There's nothing quite like Festa. It's just such a wonderful time, and I'm really happy that we get another Festa this year. So I know it's been a weird few years because it's been Festas while they've been in the military, so it'll be nice to have a Festa where they're all back. And I'm curious what jumped out to you all on the Festa calendar. We have the first one is going to be like their family photo like they do every year, where we get that's going to be great. I can't wait for a new OT7 picture. Then we get a performance video for Hooligans. So I'm wondering if that's going to be like choreography in an interesting place, because it's not specifically labeled as a dance practice. It's labeled as a performance video. So that seems to be almost like a choreography in an interesting spot. Then something called Normal Logs. I'm curious, that's obviously a play on the song Normal, but like what is the log going to be? We're getting a B-side film, but it doesn't say for what. Then, like I said, Run BTS. Looks like they're also going to be doing another vinyl for Arirang, and then the Come Over release, and then of course they'll be doing their concerts in Busan. And then the last thing is their anniversary, like their official formation date of June 13th, 2013. It says congratulations. So I don't know if that'll be like one of those long form videos that they do. So it'll be interesting. I did not get a chance to watch Namjoon's live yet, responding to Metaloop's question, because I'm waiting for the official subtitles to come on. And I know that High Boy has a video breaking it down, but High Boy's video is almost 3 hours long. So, like, oh my God, I respect High Boy so much. So I haven't had a chance to sit down and watch High Boy's breakdown yet. I've seen like bits and pieces just, throughout the internet. So I've seen like little itty bitty things. I hadn't seen that thing about Swim. But it'll be interesting to fully sit down and unpack that. I might even watch all of High Boy's video and then watch the live, just to see. But I do know that he's getting a little bit more into like the album breakdown territory, which is very interesting. Lindsay, I agree. I think I'll get emotional to see the family photo too. It's really, it's been a long time since we've been able to have that. So Javine, right? No official release of Dang. Come on, give the people what they want. But yeah, from what I've seen, I was actually kind of wondering if maybe their concert in Busan would end up being a little bit more of like a muster. So even if we couldn't have like a Bang Bang Con, and get to see the old concerts, which is always like a highlight of, the past couple years, getting to see those old concerts broadcast. I was hoping maybe we'd have a muster instead, but I think it's just going to be the normal concert that we've been seeing throughout, the tour thus far. So. Yeah, Javine, so accurate. Put on High Boy's video and just clean the house. It's a good long form video to do stuff with. I love that. Metaloop, yeah, that's a good question. So I noticed on the calendar for that vinyl release, it says 613 limited edition picture disc vinyl. That was really hard to say. So I'm not sure if that's gonna be like a vinyl with new pictures. I'm not sure kind of what makes that special. That's coming out on the 12th, so that'll be kind of interesting to see what that entails. And I'm not sure, like, maybe we'll get a little preview of it on the Weaver shop. I don't know. So that'll be interesting to see what's what with that. Also, side note, I love the design of the Festa calendar. I love all of the different symbols from previous albums and singles and things. It made me really happy to see like the Wings logo or Map of the Soul 7's logo. Like it made me really happy just to see all of the different logos from various points in time. Yeah, and they really like Don't Feed the Bears mentioned like having a vinyl already. They did release a lot of different vinyls because then they had like all those vinyls for the different members that had the different, color schemes. And so it'll be very interesting to see what makes this vinyl different from the other ones. And I'm really curious too about the next Run BTS, because I know that when they did that little preview of Run BTS coming back, they had that whole conversation together about how they wanted to do Run BTS moving forward, and they had suggested doing like separate things. And if you go and you look at the comment section of that video, it's a lot of ARMY begging them to not do like separate Run BTSs, to be OT7 in the Run BTSs. So I don't know if they had already like filmed a few Run BTSs by the time that that video came out and all those comments were begging them to keep it OT7. So I'm kind of curious about this. Like, is it going to be OT7? Is it going to be separate? What are we going to get? So that'll be really interesting to see too. Yeah, Javine, that's a really interesting point too, of just like, even if it's still going to be the same concert that we've been seeing throughout the world tour when they do it in Busan, we might be getting some things a little bit different. They might change some things up. That would be really fun. And I know they're doing a stream of it, of course, and they're also doing it in the movie theaters. So that's going to be really exciting to have a couple different options to see it in, whether it's in theaters or just in your own house as you do streaming. It'll be a fun opportunity. A lot of people can get to see it. Yeah, that's a good point too. Pretty much the only song off of Arang that we haven't seen performed is One More Night, so they might throw that in there, in for Busan, kind of make it like a fun, little bonus song that nobody else has really had. All right, so this is just the main screen for just our regular casual chatting. But when the Festa calendar dropped, I knew I had to add it so that we could talk about it too. But otherwise, this is just going to be the screen that we chill on since it's just a casual live stream. I don't have a whole bunch of slides prepared like I do for the more complicated streams. So we'll just hang out here on this screen while we talk. And like I said in my community post, I figured today is just a really good opportunity to hang out, chit chat a little bit. You can ask me any questions that you have, especially if for any of you who are a little bit newer to my streams, maybe you weren't part of like some of those earlier streams, like my very first stream, I answered a bunch of questions and stuff. So, if you're a little bit newer to the channel or to streaming and you wanted to ask me any questions, you can go ahead and do that. If you wanted to bring up any topics, BTS wise, that you wanted me to discuss, it's a really good time to do that. Just kind of hanging out and letting me know what you're thinking. We can talk about some BTS news. Very chill, very fun. So let me know. And also, if you are a little bit newer to the stream, anybody who maybe is like watching but doesn't really comment, I always like asking where you all are listening from, since we're a super diverse group here. So if any of you all are new, please feel free to introduce yourself. I do recognize a lot of the names in the chat section right now, so I know you know how things go here, and we've had lots of conversations. But any of my newer people hanging out in the chat, feel free to say hi. We're a really nice community. Everybody here is really cool, so... Ooh, Javine, I like those as surprise songs for Busan. Ma City would be really, really fun. And I think, oh my gosh, Young Forever would be good. Part of me has been wondering if they're keeping Young Forever for London. That would be kind of fun. A repeat of Microcosmos would be great. I'm so happy that songs are starting to repeat, because I think I mentioned this in one of my previous live streams. I love the surprise concept song. I love the energy of the surprise song concepts. But when they did On, I kind of had to lay on my bed and stare at the ceiling for a little while. And then they just recently did Black Swan as well. And I'm just like, I'm so sad. I want to cry forever. So the fact that songs are starting to repeat is like, yay! That makes me so happy. There's still hope. Yeah, Daffodil Underhill. I had heard that as well. That was one of the snippets that I happened to see as well. And I can't say I'm super surprised that that happened, because that is something that was also a factor with not in the same way exactly, but Dynamite, Butter, and Permission to Dance also came to them in a way that was very, very different, and they had to go ahead and edit. So I think if I remember correctly, this was in a Weverse article a long time ago, but they said that Dynamite had a lot of swearing in it. Butter was pretty overtly sexual, and then Permission to Dance was like a lot slower and a love song. I'd have to go and find that Weverse article again, because I'm sure it's buried somewhere in the archives. But so I'm not kind of super shocked that they had to do that. Also, regarding the comment about leaked pictures, I am honestly not sure. I haven't heard anything about that personally, so I'm not sure what the story is there. Yeah, Javine, I hope so too. I was actually wondering, given the concerts and like the fact that they seem to be pretty booked through like the 12th and the 13th and everything. I if they are doing like a longer form, let me jump back to the calendar for a second. If they are doing like some sort of longer form video on the 13th, I'm wondering if like they've probably pre-recorded that, and if so, when they did so. I mean, because we are, they do have a little bit of a break right now, so it's like, are they going to record that video now? Did they record it previously? So that'll be kind of interesting. Yeah, Lindsay, I'm kind of surprised to hear that too. Because I mean, and I apologize. I think maybe it was Don't Feed the Bears said, that the way he was phrasing it was like maybe it wasn't receiving like enough like analytical attention. Because yeah, otherwise I thought that, especially like watching the documentary, hearing them talk about how they felt that swim was like a big risk to do as a title track. I actually thought that it went pretty well. So I'm kind of surprised to hear that myself. That was, what's so funny, Daffodil Underhill. I was actually just thinking that the other day. I was like, how many weeks was Swim at number one? Like, and I completely don't remember. So I'd have to look that up because, yeah, I was thinking the same thing just the other day. Don't Feed the Beast. Yeah, yeah. I saw that. I actually saw that clip, but I saw it out of context. So I didn't realize that he was talking about Swim. I just saw him mentioning that it's difficult to get people to read lyrics. So that was kind of, interesting. And I know that's a concern that he's had for a long time now because he just talked about that even as far back as like Dynamite. He was kind of talking about balancing the idea of how a song sounds versus what it means and what the lyrics are. So I know that's been a concern on his mind for a while. When the Festa concerts happen, what time will it be in the U.S.? That is a really good question. I haven't had a chance to look yet. I feel like let me pull up the Weverse notification because I 7 o'clock their time sticks in my head for some reason. So let me see, because I was actually worried for a little while that they were only going to do it in the theater, and I was like, that would be kind of disappointing because due to the time difference, obviously it wouldn't be live. So I was like, that's kind of sad. But then they finally released like the notice saying it would be some live streaming. So let's see. Um, yes, 7 p.m. Korea time. So, gosh, I'm so bad with time zones. I feel like usually that's like 6 a.m. here. Let me pull up the world clock. Yeah, where I'm at on the East Coast of the United States, Korea is 13 hours ahead of me. So, yeah, usually it's like 6 a.m. for me. I know, Hitchhiker Hobbit. I thought of you immediately when the calendar came out. It's like we're getting an official release of Come Over and a lyric video. I'm still sad that we're not getting like a music video, but I'm so excited, so happy we won. Oh gosh, Daffodil Underhill, 4 a.m. Yikes. I know the things we do to watch BTS concerts. I think there will be delayed streaming as well, which is just always like thank you heaven. Yes, on the 20th and 21st of June there will be delayed streaming. It's going to be 11 a.m. Korea time, so that I think is going to be what 10 p.m. for me the day before. Gosh, I'm so bad with time. I have been an army for over 6 years now. You would think that I would know time zones and be able to do the time zone math better, but I can't. Oh, awesome, Hitchhiker Hobbit. You've got the tickets to see it in theaters. That's going to be great. Yeah, yeah, I feel you there, Lindsay. I'm not sure. Um, the 2 days, like, because it's the 12th and the 13th, right? Yeah, the festa calendar says 12th and 13th. I don't work either of those days, so like I could do both, but like I might just I might just do Saturday and then catch the first one on delayed streaming. Like, I'll have to see. I agree. Don't Feed the Bears. Comfort of the living room to watch those concerts is the best. And as I just kind of mentioned casually, to answer the question, how many years have we all been in Army? I myself have been in Army for about 6 years. My official Army anniversary is Valentine's Day of 2020 is when I became Army. It was right before Map of the Soul 7 came out, so I always like to tell people that I became Army around the time Map of the Soul 7 came out, but not because of Map of the Soul 7. It was actually just completely accidental. Yeah, Daffodil Underhill. I should like get like a better thing. What I have is like the world clock, like just like the world clock that came on my phone, and I have obviously both where I live and then Seoul set up, so it'll show me 13 hours ahead, and it'll like show me what the current time is in Korea. But when it comes to them making me do the time zone math, I'm always like, I can't. Math is hard. Trying to figure it out is difficult for my brain. Oh no, Hitchhiker Hop of the delayed streams will be 3 a.m. for you. Oh, that's cool, Javine, that it'll still be like, they'll still be doing it even when it's live. That's cool. Hitchhiker Hobbit, yeah, honestly, that's the experience that I had at the concert. I think Into the Sun hits very different live. I'm a huge fan of it live. Oh, I love that description, Daffodil Underhill, of your BTS birthday. August 25th, 2022. Lovely. Lindsay's 5 years. Chargaba's 2 years. That's another thing that I love about our community. In addition to the fact that we're from like all over the globe, we also have like very different time periods in which we became Army. So that's really fun. Hitchhiker Hobbit, honestly, yeah, I rely on Google's way too much for the time zones. Anytime they're like, oh, this concert's going to be at 7 p.m., I immediately have to hop on Google and be like, so what time for EST is that? There have been times where like merch has dropped or something that I really want to buy, and I'll be like, oh, it drops at this time. Let me set an alarm and wake up so I can be ready for it. And then it'll be like the totally wrong time because I'm so my brain just does not work when it comes to time zones and doing the time zone math, and I'm like, I'm so dumb. Yeah, Don't Feed the Bears. Different places we're from, different age ranges, different amount of time we've been Army, different faves. Like it's such a cool, and because we're such a small community, it's really, really cool that we have so much, diversity in all of those things that we bring to the table as Army, because even just it shows that even just a small sample size of Army has so much diversity and different things we bring to the table. So that's really fun and exciting. That's one of my favorite things about this community. Plus we're all just really cool, and everybody's super nice, and we love to theorize. So best community. Exactly. With daylight savings time, then we have even other types that we have to do, because then sometimes it's 14 hours ahead instead of 13 hours ahead. And I'm just like, ugh, my poor brain. I feel like just when I get used to one way, then the clocks change again. And then I'm like, no, I have to do the math all over again. Now it's different again. The only good thing is at least I usually have like a general time in mind. Like, because of other previous online live stream concerts and stuff. So like when they say, oh yeah, live stream concert, in my brain, I usually think, okay, it's probably going to be like 6 a.m. Not at all. Don't Feed the Bears. You're awesome. I'm always so glad when you're here. Everybody here is awesome. Oh, wow. Javine, congratulations. That is an accomplishment for sure. I believe it. Less than 5 minutes before it sold out. I believe it. The other thing that I'm sure probably went really insane was the merchandise that they released for Swim, because when the Weverse notice said, oh, including the jackets, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's gonna be a bloodbath. People are gonna go insane, because I know people have been asking for those jackets from the first moment that they saw them. So I'm just like, yeah, that's gonna absolutely pop off. So if anybody was able to secure anything, I'm impressed. Oh, that's awesome. Don't feed the bears. That's really cool. I actually don't even think I looked at all of what was included in that, because I basically knew that it was going to be gone within like 10 seconds. So I was just like, nah, it's fine. So I don't actually even think I looked. Javine, yeah, Jungkook's Calvin Klein collection. I believe it. Oh, that's a great question. Do we think BTS would make a good decision in bringing the Bangtan universe into the songwriting music video process again? We actually were talking about that a lot before Ararang came out, and we were actually very heavily theorizing that we were going to continue to get BU content. Obviously, that didn't pan out. But at the time, we were all talking about how we thought that that would be a really, interesting thing, a really good thing. And so, yeah, I still maintain that I think that would be honestly a great idea. Javid, I feel yeah. It reminds me of like not having money for like the higher end collabs. It reminds me of when Jin started doing Fred and Gucci, and everybody was like, "Well, at least we still have Jin ramen." Javine, right? We still have money for whatever merch drops. That's right. Don't feed the bears. In addition to Jin Ramen, he also did the tuna company. So if we could afford Fred or Gucci or even Aloe, we could have ramen. We could have tuna. We were good. We were good. That's really interesting too, Daffodil Underhill. I know the links to that interview were shared on my Discord server and things, and I didn't check those out yet. So that's actually a really interesting conversation too about the writing process and choosing process. Oh, that's awesome, Javine. I'm starting like a little like collection. Like for my goal is for the albums that I really love, I want to have multiple copies. So, like for instance, you all know I love The Astronaut so much, and of course I bought it when it came out. But I only bought the one version, and I really regretted it. So, for Christmas, I asked for the other version, and I got it. My parents are very accommodating. And also to anybody who just joined or is a little bit newer to the live streams in the community, feel free to let us know where you're listening from or anything like that. We'd love to get to know you better if you, yeah, yeah, and that's part of what I love about these casual chats. We can kind of introduce new friends to the group, and hope you stick around with the community. We're really awesome here. So, yeah, feel free to tell us where you're listening from or anything like that. That's really interesting that it was specifically go listen to the earliest songs, because that kind of goes back to, conversations we've been having about, the return to the earlier stuff. That's interesting. Yeah, Javine, I don't have a lot of space. Like I have my BTS shelves pretty tightly arranged. So then like whenever I get a new piece of merchandise, it becomes a struggle to try and figure out where to put it. So I'm not the type of person who has the space to get like every single album, but it's like I'd love to have other copies of the ones that I'm very much a believer in having like physical copies of things. So, to be able to like have those physical copies of some of the older albums and things. And I do also want to finish out my collection, because in some instances, like for example, I have Love Yourself Answer, so I have like the big compilation album, but I don't have Hurt or Tear. And it's like, oh, I'd kind of like to have those. And I have Mapisol 7, but not Mapisol Persona, because, you tend to, when you're first buying albums and merch, you're like, let me go for the more complete album, the one that's like the compilation with everything on it. So it's like, I'd like to get some of those other albums too, to kind of, fill in the gaps where I maybe don't have, some of those first ones that came out in the series or things like that. And I'd love to complete my collection that way, and would love to have a space where I can display them all together, because I think that'd be really cool. Oh, very nice. You're listening from Sweden. That's awesome. Oh, that's really cool. Don't Feed the Bears. That a local place near you carries everything in all the different formats. That's really cool. I've kind of wanted to start getting into the vinyls, but I don't have like a vinyl player, so I'd have to also get a player. And then again, that goes back to the question of where would I put all of it. I don't know about the rest of you in terms of like more unique merch, but I'm very much looking forward to the BTS Oreos. I'd honestly be looking forward to those Oreos regardless, because the flavor sounds amazing. I've never had a chance to actually try Hatak in person. I've only ever just seen it, and I've always wanted to try it. So the idea of that flavor of cream in the Oreos, I'd already be like, oh my God, I need that. But then for them to be, the purple BTS ones, I need them even more. So I've told everybody in my life to keep their eyes peeled. I'm like, if you see it, buy it. I'll pay you back. Like, yeah, don't feed the bears. I feel like whenever they like try and do the players, or like do like a throwback type of thing, and it's like it's a nostalgic throwback, but they always tend to make it a lot more. I think I feel like several years ago we got my dad a converter. So it was like it had the record playing, like it had a little turntable, but it also was designed so that it could convert your vinyls to MP3. But I think it still plays them even without like having to be, without having to do the conversion part. I think you can still just play them. So that could be an option. I could ask him to borrow that. Yes, I'm excited. I'm excited for the Oreos. I feel like they're the closest thing that I can have right now to actually having the brown sugar pancakes. There's just recently an H Mart opened up, so like one of the very popular Asian markets, but it's kind of far away. And I'm kind of hoping that maybe one day one of my coworkers and I can go, because she's also like a huge fan of like Asian cuisine and things like that. And she went around when it first opened, and she's like, oh, we have to go, you'd love it. So I'm hoping at some point I can make a pilgrimage there and maybe get some of the like Korean treats and things that I haven't been able to have yet. A lot of times I see mix, like basically like pancake mix to make it, but I don't have any faith in my ability to make them because I am not good at cooking. So I'm like, I'd like them fully formed already, please, because there's zero chance I can screw them up then. Yes, definitely. Like, make a huge list of ingredients and just get everything. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna complain a little bit because I don't know if anybody else has heard of the store Miniso, but recently a Miniso, maybe like a couple months ago, opened up a couple doors away from where I work. So I go there a lot, and they just recently started carrying Jin ramen after Jin was no longer on the ramen containers. And I'm like, you couldn't have started carrying this like when you first opened. Now you have Jin ramen available, and I'm so salty about it. I mean, Jin ramen is honestly still delicious, so I might just get some of the cups anyway, but I'm just like, man, I could have had the cups with him on it that I wouldn't have had to like go hunting for. Oh, yeah, I got to do tteokbokki like in the cups because of Miniso, because they have a lot of different snacks and foods, but I had my friends came down for a visit in October. They came down to visit me, and we did some stuff, and they wanted to eat at this local Korean place that wasn't far away from where we were staying. And so I got to do Korean fried chicken and tteokbokki, and it was so good. It was like cheese tteokbokki in like a little bit of like a gochujang sauce, and it was delicious. For those of you who came in a little bit later, you might have also, I'll just pop up to housekeeping real quick because that's where I have the picture of the boys winning the AMA. I was curious if anybody else had been watching that night. I said earlier that got to see them win Artist of the Year and Song of the Summer, so that was really exciting. It was good to see that again after so long. So that can be added to our list of like fun BTS news that we've had recently. Was the AMA seemed to go really well. Don't feed the bears. I am so jealous that you have like so many Korean restaurants so close by. There's a couple that are like kind of in my area, but not really. Like the one is kind of in a busy area, because where I'm at, we have like the big major theme parks. And so traffic can be a nightmare. And the Korean place, there's a Korean place I really like that is basically one major theme park is like 5 minutes away from it, and another major theme park is like another 5 minutes away from it. So yeah, it's a little bit chaotic. And then the one that I went to with my friends was 5 minutes away from another major theme park. So it's like traffic galore, and it can be a little bit overwhelming. Yeah, Hitchhiker. But you know what's so funny? So I, for some reason, thought, because of course the boys won the AMA back in 2021, 2022. I think it was 2021, because I feel like it was right before I saw them in concert, and I saw them at PTDLA. But after that, after they won Artist of the Year, I remember reading something in the subsequent years about rules being changed, or maybe like because they added the K-pop category, I was thinking of that, because I was convinced that they were not nominated for Artist of the Year until like I was looking at the nominations, and I was like, oh, they are nominated for Artist of the Year and in the K-pop category. Like I don't even know what my brain was doing. I think maybe because they had that K-pop category, like they made that category, I just kind of assumed the worst and figured that they would be sort of relegated only to that category, and just was like, I was surprised. I was pleasantly surprised when I saw that they were, oh yeah, no, they're in for Artist of the Year. And then of course even more excited when they won that. That was awesome. Oh, that's awesome, Hitchhiker Hobbit. I love that. Right, Don't Feed the Bears. That is one of the most frustrating things about watching any of the award shows, and following any of the award shows. It's always like playing fast and loose with the rules. Yeah, we make them regret it. I honestly even was wondering if maybe I was thinking of something that happened with the Billboard Music Awards, because sometimes they can blur together a little bit. But yeah, so I was very pleasantly surprised. I was like, oh yeah, no, they are up for Artist of the Year this time. That's great. No worries, Javine. That is perfectly understandable. I actually happened to get pretty lucky because I had seen that they weren't performing, and that I had actually even read that they weren't presenting, and then of course they did end up presenting an award. So I figured I would just be checking to see like how the awards went. And so when I turned it on, I actually got really lucky because I was recording it, I had it like on my DVR, so I was able to go back and see them present, and catch that, because I had technically missed that, but I was able to go back. And then when I jumped back to live, it was literally Song of the Summer. It was like the next category. I'm like, my timing is amazing. I think unfortunately they were fake, because otherwise if they were real these would be awesome. I saw screenshots of like final voting tallies, and a lot of people are like, well, the AMAs don't release the voting numbers, so these are probably not real. But it would have been great if they were real, because the numbers were like insane. It was like, like in the hundreds of thousands of votes for BTS compared to like, very small amounts for the other artists. But I don't think that was true. Yeah, and that's kind of how I felt too, like regarding the rule change. I was legitimately worried that they would go, oh, well, there's a K-pop category now, so BTS can be nominated in the K-pop category. We don't have to, nominate them for Artist of the Year, because that very much felt like something that the music industry would do, unfortunately, and things that we've kind of seen before in other, award show instances. So I was actually very pleasantly surprised that they were nominated for Artist of the Year, not just put into the K-pop category. So that was really nice to see. I'm not, as somebody who does not like Western music, I'm not an award show person. Like, the award shows are very difficult for me to sit through. And they always have been ever since I became an army. So I'm never like excited for the award shows, but I am always excited to see how BTS does. Yeah, there's so much behind the scenes, shadiness and craftiness that goes on with those, music award shows. And there's a lot of really good army analysis about those award shows. Like, I know Boris City Magazine's definitely talked about how a lot of those shows are so sneaky, and the tricks that they pull. And yeah, it always is so, it leaves such a bad taste in my mouth. So I always like when we can kind of get in, get out, do what we came to do, get BTS an award, especially in like the fan voted awards like the AMAs. It's always very nice to see that. I'm trying to think. I feel like there's been so much news in such a short period of time that I'm almost like, I know I'm forgetting some stuff. There's the AMAs, of course. The BTS Oreos are coming out. We just got the Festa calendar. We've had all the concerts. I'm like, and I know we had a whole bunch of lives, so it's like there's so much to catch up on. So yeah, I'm trying to remember if there's anything that I even missed. I haven't had a chance to watch a lot of the lives because I'm waiting for the better subtitles. I was trying to watch the live that the boys did after the AMAs, and the Weverse auto-translated subtitles just were driving me absolutely crazy. Like, oh my gosh, it was such a struggle. Yeah, Hitchhiker Hobbit, I do not blame you at all. Honestly, like I said, if my timing hadn't been so good with the AMAs, I just would not have been able to do it. I saw that he released a vlog, but I didn't get a chance to see it yet. Which right, exactly. Who does that? Who runs a marathon and then goes and does a concert? Like, Yoongi, who are you? Nothing but respect, honestly. I also think it's really cute that when he ran that marathon, he didn't make a big deal about it. Like, he did it so anonymously, which is really cute as well. You know, that it's just like, I'm just going to go and run a marathon, all anonymous, and then come back and do my concert. Like, wild. Hitchhiker Hobbit, honestly, yes. I mean, I have kept my Weverse digital membership going just because it's not very expensive, and it's just like, whatever, I'll just keep it running in the background. I feel like there's a couple other benefits to it other than the subtitles, the automatically generated subtitles. And like, I'm not throwing shade because I know how hard that must be to have the auto-generated subtitles doing that work. So like, I know that it's still something that's kind of like the bugs are being worked out of it, so like, no shade, but just, oh my gosh, trying to, and then you get the actual subtitles and you're like, that wasn't even close. Like, and like the way it doesn't even recognize like actual, like, it sometimes it doesn't even recognize like the word army and things like that. I'm just like, oh my gosh. So yeah, I do the same. I generally wait for High Boy's breakdowns of things, but yeah, I'm behind on his stuff too, because his breakdowns of everything are so long. And I mean, I love that because he'll add all sorts of other context. And I'm a big, you know me, I'm a big context person. I love having context for things. So I really like that he'll stop and he'll literally pull up another tab on his computer and like do a Google search of things. So, but yeah, it can be a lot. 3 hours for some of his videos. Honestly, Hitchhiker Hobbit, me too. I was so happy to see that. We're gonna have so much fun that day. That's our day. Sorry, there's a gnat that's been flying around, just flew right into my mouth. I'm good. I am good. Yeah, it's so hard when the content is like scattered all over the place, because we have so many things on Disney Plus, and then we have a couple things on Netflix now, and then one of I don't know if it's still on there, but I know for a while Yet to Come in Busan was on Amazon Prime, and then of course we have everything on Weverse, and it's just like, we're spread thin. And then some of the things that used to be on V Live, like some of the old documentaries and things, they're technically on Weverse now, but when you pay, you're like paying for it through like the Google Play Store. At least that's been my experience. I don't know if it's like that for the rest of you. So it's just like so many different things on so many different sources. Yeah, I remember Don't Feed the Bears. I remember after one of Jin's post concert live streams, he said, and I'm pretty sure he said it in English if I remember correctly. He said, "Hello everyone," and the subtitles translated it as Heller Lowry, and I'm like, what are you even doing? Like, I know that a lot of times when the boys speak, they have, like, especially when they speak English, they have like a little bit of an accent, and Jin has a little bit of an accent when he speaks English, but in no way would I ever hear Jin say hello everybody or hello everyone and get Heller Lowry out of it. I'm just like, what is happening? Yeah, that's the other thing too, Javine. That's always really a bummer as well, is a lot of times when these things go up on the streaming platforms, they're not actually in full. And that's even actually true, like for whatever reason, and I'm not sure if it has anything to do with the fact that like Coldplay worked with the song on him and thus maybe he can't include it in like a paid for concert, but like The Astronaut wasn't included in the versions of Jin's concert that happened on broadcast, which is sad. And it's something that kind of bums me out, kind of, again going back to the physical media conversation that we were having before. This is why I prefer DVDs over the stuff on Weverse, because it's like if it was on a DVD, it wouldn't be as big of a deal. We could maybe have that, but maybe not, because like there are some instances where certain things aren't included. Like I'm pretty sure when they did Chicken Noodle Soup and Subuzu, I don't think that was included on the DVD. It was included as like a video afterwards. So it's like maybe DVDs don't solve all the problems, but I feel like DVDs would solve some of the problems if, of not being able to, have complete stuff on the streaming platforms and things. Oh gosh, Hitchhiker Hobbit. Bye bye. And the subtitle said tooth. I can't. I cannot. And like I said, I know that it's a lot to have a tool that offers subtitles, instantaneously translating into multiple languages. I know that's a tall ask, but it's just like, why would you roll out this product and not have it work? Especially because it is something that you have to pay for. And even though it's not very expensive, I think it's like $3 or $4 a month, it is still something that people are paying for. And it's still something that I'm sure a lot of people are paying for. And it's so bad. Yeah, Don't Feed the Bears. I really miss the memories of discs. I have, like, it's been my goal to be like slowly collecting the old ones. And I think I have 2017 through, was it 2021 when they released the final one? Whatever the final one was, I have them from that going all the way back to 2017. And they're just so wonderful. It's such a wealth of information and like lost moments that are otherwise lost because they're not really online. And I just prefer having the DVDs because Weverse is just so glitchy half the time. Like it is so difficult for me to watch a lot of media that I've paid for because it just glitches out on me. Hello, welcome to the stream. I hope you're having a good day. Thank you for joining us today. Hitchhiker Hobbit, yes, I so strongly agree. That is really annoying. And it's great to have like the physical stuff, of course. Like I love being able to have the physical stuff, but then it's like if you just want to watch the concert, but you can't because the physical stuff is so. It's such a weird system. I'm not a fan. Oh, that's a good question, Javine, because talking about how I like getting like the older media and things, I have a lot of some like the older concerts and things, like under like the purchased media part of Weverse. So like I'm looking at the app right now. I don't know if you're on the app or on like the desktop version, but the bar at the bottom of the screen on the app, it's home, shop, DM, and more. And if you click more, there's a tab that's purchased media. And so all of my purchased media is there from like, this is like literally all the Bon Voyages, all of like the previous concerts and things. Let me scroll down to something I don't have. Oh, you're right. It's literally, it used to be. The way it used to be was that it was stuff that wasn't, like, if you hadn't purchased it, it was still there. But now it is all of the stuff. It's literally just the purchased. That is not cool. I don't like that. Maybe it's in the shop? I don't know. That's a great question. They recently just updated the Weverse app, and I hate it. Like, so much. All right, the live section is just the Araran concerts. Let me see. DVD media. Oh, I hate that. I hate the way they've done this so much. Oh my gosh. Let's see DVD slash media. Sorry, I've gone down a whole rabbit hole. That's a good question. The app is such a nightmare that I often have to just go on to, and honestly even the desktop version of Weavers is not very good, but at least it's a little bit more easy to navigate. The app was already bad, and this previous update that they just did recently just made it even worse. I just hate it. I'm sorry, I'm complaining so much about Weavers today. I'm sorry. Hitchhiker Hobbit. Yeah, Map of the Soul 1 is honestly so worth it. That's one of my favorites of their live stream concerts. I love that one so much. That one and Subuzu, the Subuzu Muster, are very high for me on list of just like fave streamed concerts. I have Map of the Soul 1 and Subuzu physically because I got those when they came out, which thank God because it means I can watch them on DVD. But Javine, yeah, I will definitely when the stream is over, I will see if I can find like the place to purchase the media maybe on the desktop version rather than the app because I'm really curious about that too. There's a couple I've bought a lot of like concerts and things, but there were a couple of documentary series that I hadn't had a chance to buy yet. There were a couple of different versions of the Love Yourself concert that I wanted to buy that I hadn't bought yet. So I'm curious where those went and maybe it's a little bit easier to find them on a desktop than on the app. So I'll definitely check into that. Ugh, that is so annoying. Like I don't get that. If it's gonna be digital anyway, allow people to either buy the box set that has all the physical merchandise, or also just buy the live stream copy, the digital code copy. Yeah, Javine, I'll definitely let you know. Hello, welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for being here. We're just having a fun, casual chat today. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope you're having a good day. Yeah, Javine, a lot of the content that was previously DVD content is now rental content so that you don't even actually like physically have it for, any extended period of time. It's just like a thing that you have sparingly, which is sad. I mean, it's nice that you have an opportunity to like get it and watch it, but yeah, I'm all about actually being able to go back and watch it whenever I want. That's an important thing for me. Like one of my prized pieces of physical media is the a DVD set from back when the Wings tour was going on. And so it's like the actual DVD performance set of their Wings because like a lot of times you can find the Wings concert in Japan. Like you can find it on eBay and stuff, and the one that you can buy online is the very last Wings tour that they did. So it was like Wings plus some of Love Yourself Her because Love Yourself Her was out by then already. But I wanted the Wings concert before, like the very first Wings concerts that they were doing, and I that was something that was found on eBay, and I love it. I cherish it so much. Oh, no worries. You're not late at all. This is just a casual chat. There's no like theme today. There's no like, we're not doing anything super structured. We're literally this is just a fun hangout stream. We're all friends here. We all have a really great, dynamic and a really good community. So we're just hanging out and talking. And like just wanting to be able to rent stuff and like just wanting to be able to see the concerts kind of goes back to what we were saying before about how it would have been nice if this festa had also had like a Bang Bang Con attached to it, so we could see some of the older concerts. That wouldn't help so much with probably like D-Day and things like that, but it would have been nice if they had shown you know everything as early as like the Red Bullet tour up to the more recent things like Map of the Soul 1 and Suzu and things like that. It would have been nice to see those, again, for those of us who, don't have those or don't have access to them anymore. It would have been nice. Oh, good. Yeah, no worries. No worries at all. For those of you who are a little bit newer to the live streams as well, all of these live streams, they go up on the channel afterwards so that you can watch them again. And so that's nice too, because then you can put on, if you want subtitles or anything, or, all of that stuff, you can watch them later. So just in case you missed anything in the beginning, or for those of you who might have to leave a little bit earlier, if you miss anything at the end, you can catch up on what you missed. I have a lot of live streams that I've done on the channel, and they're all up there as videos that you can watch now. My goal is to eventually, I really want to go back to a lot of these, especially my more themed ones. Like, there's not so much like time stamping that I can do on a more casual chat like this, but I'd like to go back to some of the previous ones that I've done, like book club or like any of those other descriptions and things like that, anything that's like a description of an album or a deep dive into a concept, and actually put timestamps on them, so if you're watching them back, you can jump to whatever you would like to see. Javine, so great, almost American. I feel like what are some of the ones that they always say? They're like, you have to say it more American whenever the boys are like, God, say it more American. I always love that. It cracks me up. And I like when they say they're still speaking Korean, but they just speak it with an American accent. Always makes me laugh. Yeah, so that's one of the ones that I haven't had a chance to really see. I've seen like snippets from it, just, like kind of floating around the internet. A lot of it is out of context though. Like I had said, I had mentioned earlier that I saw the clip where he was talking about, oh, it's difficult to get people to like read lyrics and things like that, but I didn't know that he was talking about that in conjunction with Swim, so I'm seeing like very kind of like out of order clips and like just little snippets here and there. And so I know that live is going to be a bit of a deeper dive into Arang, which is exciting because I always love when he does those big album breakdowns. So I'm really excited that we got one, and I'm really looking forward to diving into that. But I'm waiting for the good subtitles on that one because I know how important it will be to have the good subtitles on that one. And Hi Boy, who I always trust as like a lyric translating resource, his video is like 3 hours long. I think it's 2 hours and 45, and I was like, oh my gosh, sir. So I'm just, with the way my work schedule was around the time that live came out, I didn't really have time to like sit down and really dive into it. So that's something that I will probably do over the next couple of days once like the subtitles are better, and yeah, because I don't think I'd be able to endure listening to Namjoon try and talk about the album while those really bad auto-gen subtitles were butchering what he's saying. I think it would drive me up the wall. But for those of you who did get a chance to either watch the live itself, or who watched Hi Boy talk about it, I'd love to hear like any of your thoughts on it, even though like I can't really add anything, but I'd still love to hear what you thought. What time is it here in my country? So I'm on the east coast of the United States, and right now it is 1:15 in the afternoon. Oh, good. That makes me so happy, Javine. I'm always glad to hear that. That's something that I'm very mindful of a lot of times. I try not to like say anything that's like too strange because I know that a lot of us have, different like first languages and different places that we're listening from. So it's like I do my best, but sometimes it's always a little bit difficult to be mindful of that. So that makes me happy to hear. Which is also awesome. And I have so much respect for everybody who is bilingual or multilingual because I am not a good language learner at all. Like I am a terrible language learner. And so I have so much respect for people who have who have sat down and taught themselves a language or learned it for the sake of travel or living in another place or anything like that. It honestly so cool. Oh, it's nighttime where you're at. That's awesome. Thank you for spending your evening with me. I'm always so appreciative because a lot of times I'm starting my live streams in the early afternoon, my time, but for a lot of the rest of you, it's like around dinner time or when you're leaving work or even nighttime before bed. So I always appreciate that you take some time to spend it with me. Don't feed the bears. I'm right there with you. Yeah, I have been learning like not steadily because I took it in school. Like I took it in middle and high school and then like I kind of tried to keep up with it through like language learning apps like Duolingo, but like I've been trying to study German since I was like 12 and I'm 30 now. So and then even Korean, I've tried to learn Korean and I have like an okay, like I can read Hangul and things like that, but it's like not very well. Yes. So the question is, do I like reading books? I do. I am a huge book nerd. I love books. I actually, one of the most recent projects that I started here on this channel is doing book club with everybody. So we're reading books that are related to BTS in some way. So that's been a lot of fun. A lot of us, I think, are big readers here. And, it's been really fun to be able to kind of have that energy together where we read a book and discuss it and discuss how it relates to BTS. So yeah, love reading. My Other than talking about BTS, my two big hobbies are definitely reading and writing. I'm a storyteller at heart, so yeah, love a good story. You're from India. That's awesome. Yeah, BTS is very popular in India, and they know it. But I think they really are excited about their popularity there. Do I have any particular genres I like to read or write? I am a big sci-fi and fantasy person. I love sci-fi and fantasy. So that tends to be not only my favorite genre to read, it tends to be my favorite genre to write. I love world building, things like that. I absolutely love it. And I just think, there always tends to be like a magic or a supernatural element in what I tend to gravitate towards. A lot of my favorite media is fantasy or sci-fi. I've been a Star Trek nerd for a long time. So, that kind of gives you an idea of, I think Star Trek was like my first fandom because my parents love Star Trek. So I've been introduced to Star Trek since I was like 5 or 6 years old. So that definitely influenced me a lot. Yes, Javine, let's make that our goal. We'll learn Korean. We can do it. I think a lot of people, it was quite funny. A lot of people, I think, made that their goal while BTS was on hiatus. They're like, okay, while the boys are serving in the military, we're going to learn Korean. And then, like, it came to the point where it's like, oh, BTS are getting out of the military. We haven't learned Korean. It's a tough language to learn. It's such a beautiful language though, and I love learning it. I do recommend to anybody who's starting out learning Korean, go and watch a video about how to learn Hangul. And like I've found people online, and they basically, people who do like online teaching, they'll teach you Hangul the way that, like a Korean child would be taught Hangul, and it really, really helps. I haven't read any TJ Klune books yet. But they're definitely on the list. The last time there was a sale on Audible, though, I did buy the first book in the Scythe series that I know that you had recommended as well. So that's literally in my Audible, waiting to be listened to. I was gonna say read, but listened to, because I listened to the preview of that and it was awesome. So I bought it at once. But I really do want to get into TJ Klune's books as well. I'm excited. I have a feeling that that'll be like my next time Audible does a big sale, that'll be my next one. Because right now I'm very much more into audiobooks, just because my schedule's a little bit all over the place, so I don't have a lot of time to like sit down and like physically like read a physical book. But I love audiobooks because I can listen to them while I'm getting ready for work, or if I'm exercising, or anything like that. I love a good audiobook. Javine, yes, I read 1984 in school, so it was a while ago, but it definitely captured me when I read it. I'd love to go back and reread it or listen to an audiobook version of it, because it has been a long time. But yeah, classic for a reason. Yes, same thing. I read Fahrenheit 451 when I was in school, and I also read The Martian Chronicles by Ray Bradbury. My dad has also read a couple of Ray Bradbury novels that I haven't read that he's recommended to me, so I'd like to read those as well. But yeah, Orwell and Bradbury, great pillars of science fiction. Oh, a Hitchhiker Hobbit, I will definitely let you know. Ooh, that's a really good question, Metaloop. I definitely think the fandom has become a lot bigger. I know that it's only natural, throughout the lifetime of a fandom, that sometimes people leave. It's an ebb and a flow. So like new people will come in, but then like people who were older fans leave. That's just a natural part of the fandom cycle. I do think it's become bigger. And I do think it has changed. I'm curious if other people feel that way, especially like for those of you who became a fan like a little bit later. I definitely do feel like there's been a change that's gone on. Not necessarily a good or a bad change. I think that's up for like, interpretation. And again, cycles of fandom, there's good and bad, but I've definitely seen some changes. Oh, Javine, yeah, absolutely. I Jane Austen is like a woefully lacking. Like as somebody who I've been trying to get more into classics, and I'm like, Jane Austen, go read Jane Austen. Like I need to go do that. Yeah, yeah. I definitely like, something that I love about audiobooks is that a lot of classic novels are free on, if you some of them are, of course, you still have to pay for them, but a lot of classic novels are free. Like, I've been trying to get more into Dickens. It has been my goal. Like, and I got about halfway through Oliver Twist, and then just like other things came up and I got distracted and I haven't gotten back to Oliver Twist yet. So, there's definitely some classics that I want to dive into, just like, classics that I haven't had exposure to. My favorite classics, honestly, and I mean, I'm not even sure, I think you could consider this one a classic because it shapes so much of fantasy. And I mean, Hitchhiker, Hobbit, you know what I'm about to say, Lord of the Rings. I'm a huge fan of Lord of the Rings. I'm also a big fan in terms of like foundational science fiction. I'm a huge fan of Frankenstein. Frankenstein is incredible. And no Frankenstein movie has ever captured the essence of the book. And I listened to it and my dad listened to it, and then we like kept like talking about it because it's so evocative, like classics can be a struggle. Like you're saying it's difficult to like get into the classics. Classics can be really hard sometimes, just because sometimes they get lost in their own minutia a little bit, but Frankenstein is so evocative. One of the other recent classics that I really enjoyed, I actually read it because I was doing my video when J-Hope got out of the military, and I was doing a video specifically about the books that inspired him in a lot of his work. So I listened to an audiobook version of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and sometimes Jules Verne gets a little bit lost in the sauce of like describing every fish and every piece of coral, which is a little bit of a slog if you're like, I don't know what you're talking about. You're giving me the scientific names of fish. But it's a fantastic book otherwise, and I really enjoyed it. Ooh, Javine, I will definitely have to check that out. And yes, I agree. I read, again, I listened to the audiobook of Frankenstein twice, but it's so good. Like, the first time I listened to the audiobook of Frankenstein, there were some scenes that, like, made me so sad that I literally had to, like, pause the book and sit down. Like, so good. Thank you so much for being here. I'm glad you stopped in to see us and say hi and hang out. And I hope you watch the rest of the live when it goes up on the channel. But thank you so much for being here. Really enjoyed having you here today. Yeah, Hitchhiker Hobbit, how have the radio scripts for Hitchhiker's Guide, how have those been going? And I feel you on like the the thing with Tolkien is he does, again, it's very much like a getting lost in the sauce type of thing. And I think I've said this before, either to you on Discord or like in a previous stream. Our family copy of Lord of the Rings, as I was reading it the first time one summer, I got to, my parents both had left their bookmarks in the book. So like my mom had like a post-it note, my dad had an index card, and my mom got to like, they weren't even out of the Shire yet. And there was my mom's bookmark, and then I think my dad got to the Council of Elrond, and there was my dad's bookmark, and I was like, this is where they both came up. But I'm just like, I'm gonna keep going. And it's very much, even though sometimes his writing style can get really lost, in describing everything and things like that. Again, I think it's such an evocative world. Like, I mean, and I just so happened when I first read Lord of the Rings, it became a really tough year for me. Like, I went through a lot of stuff, and I was reading, all three of the Lord of the Rings books at the time that all this stuff was going on. And so it really spoke to me emotionally. Like, I remember just like sobbing over certain parts of the book, and things like that. And it's just like, I love when any type of writing, can bring that. Oh, good. I'm glad they're fun, at least. That's really great. And Don't Feed the Bears, yeah, so Catcher in the Rye is actually a book that I even considered for book club, because if you go back to a lot of the BU related content, and I talked about this in one of my BU live streams, I don't remember which one, but there's actually a lot of references to the Catcher in the Rye in the background of BU stuff. There'll be like quotes from the Catcher in the Rye written on the walls and things like that. So it's like, I kind of debated, like, should that be a book club book? I don't know. Oh gosh, yeah, Hitchhiker Hobbit, that must be a slog if he's like, when he's describing every last single thing and you're like, I can't picture this. Like, that must be really hard. I think it would be really fun to do Catcher in the Rye and explore the themes and how they relate to the BU. I think that would be really, really cool. I think I said this in one of my previous live streams that I want to have the book club books initially be ones that are like very overtly referenced in their work. Like, oh, and actually, that's another classic that I really liked. I actually really enjoyed Damien, which I just read for the sake of because it is so influential to Wings, and I was actually surprised at how much I enjoyed it. So for book club, I want to start off with those, the ones that are like the more overt references. But if book club, if everybody's still enjoying book club, I would love to expand it outward and do some more of those kind of like more background reads, like things that are a little bit more in the background of their videos, not quite so overt. You like Catcher in the Rye or some of the ones that Nemjin recommends and things like that. So hello, welcome to the stream. Glad you could be here today. We're having a fun, casual chat, just chatting about BTS related stuff. Nothing too formal, so welcome. Glad you're here. I will probably be streaming for about another half an hour ish. Just however long the conversation continues to flow. So let me know if there's any other questions or thoughts that you guys had as we're going through things. Yeah, Hitchhiker Hobbit. I definitely want to do another pass through Damien because I think I didn't know what to expect from it. So I think I went into it very much just thinking about Wings, like ready to pick out all the quotes and all those different things. And so I really want to go through it again. And now that I know what it's like, and of course I'll still be looking for, things and references to Wings, but I also just kind of want to unpack it just on its own merit, not only thinking of Wings, because yeah, it was really interesting one. I was not expecting to, enjoy it as much as I ended up enjoying it. I know. I think we could talk about books forever. We could just form a little mini literary society. That's why I'm really excited that we have book club now. Even though if sometimes we won't be talking about like this, what we're talking about here isn't necessarily BTS related books, but it's still fun to talk about books. I had so much fun with you guys last time for the ones who walk away from Omelas. I think we could have spent like another 4 hours talking about Omelas. That was such a fun discussion. The other big genre that I'm into as well is I'm a fan of certain historical fiction. Like I'm very choosy about my historical fiction, but I love history, so it's always really interesting to dive into an interpretation of like here's the actual historical event, here's a little interpretation thrown on. So I always love that. Right? Hitchhiker Hobbit, wasn't that amazing that it's literally 10 pages long and we were able to have a 2 hour discussion that didn't even feel like we scratched the surface? Like, how amazing of a story is that? So that I know there's a few. For instance, I know that in Butterfly Namjoon, one of Namjoon's line is "My Kafka by the Sea," which is a reference to I think it's actually the book might be called Kafka by the Shore. I'm not sure, but I know that author's a little bit controversial, so I deliberately kind of stayed away from that author's work. That's a big one that comes to mind though. Um, I'd honestly have to look and see if any other books like really jump out the same way that like Omelas or Damien do. Yeah, it's a bit of, so I'm a history nerd, but I have a very love-hate relationship with how history is written about because yeah, I'm very much the type of person where if I start reading something and it sounds like a textbook, I get mad because I think that you can really do awesome evocative things with like historical fiction or anything like that, but a lot of people just don't. Again, they get lost in the minutia of like all of the dates and places and things, and it's just like that is what makes me really sad because I feel like history is so interesting and it's all about how you write it. Oh gosh, yeah, I can imagine that one was like I'm not a fan of Ernest Hemingway for the same reason. I tried to read Ernest Hemingway for something in school and I made it like 10 pages and I had to give up. It was something that like an assignment in an English class and it was like pick which book you were going to read and discuss and I was like, "Oh, I'll read For Whom the Bell Tolls." And I didn't even get out of like the first chapter. I was like, "I can't do this. I have to pick another book." That's really interesting. I'll have to look up that Norwegian Woods link. That's really interesting, Metaloop. Yeah, I don't even know what it was. Like I'm almost curious to try and go back. I did actually read a Hemingway novel in an English class way long ago. I think I was like 12. And it was The Pearl and like that one was like it's fine. Is that Hemingway or is that Steinbeck? Hang on. I'm doubting myself. Maybe I never actually did read anything Ernest Hemingway. Let me see. Oh, that is John Steinbeck, The Pearl. Why did I think that was Hemingway? So yeah, I don't actually know if I've ever gotten through anything Hemingway. I think I for whom the bell tolls just killed me. I couldn't. I'm almost so curious to go back and see if it's improved now that I'm older. I don't know. Yeah, Hitchhiker Hobbit. School reading is always kind of sad. Like I just when I was lucky that I did enjoy some of the things that I read in school. Like I read 1984 for school. I remember reading The Giver. And so like some of those were interesting and they captured my attention. But I think that when you are forced to read something, it does diminish any ability to enjoy it. I admit I miss the freedom that I felt like I had reading when I was younger. Because a lot of quote adult books are not for me. So I always kind of have to navigate kind of carefully and cautiously whenever I read now in a way that I didn't when I was, reading younger books. It's part of why I actually sometimes tend to go for books that are technically young adult. I'm just scrolling through my Audible to see if anything else jumps out. I have so many books in my Audible. I've gotten a couple books from Korean authors that I'd like to read, a couple fantasy novels in here, a couple of historical things. Oh my gosh, I have so much. Yeah, I get that. I get that Hitchhiker Hobbit. Like the having to like sit there and answer questions and is not fun. It's like when you choose to analyze it, such a different energy. Okay, that's a good question. So, in terms of Korean authors, one of the ones that I was buying for a couple of books from is June Her. So H-U-R, Junehur. And I did read one of her books. It's The Red Palace, which was really interesting. I think I shared this on Discord. It was really interesting because the Red Palace is about a girl who becomes like kind of like a servant at the palace of like a very, kind of, he seems like he'd be like really dynamic and charming kind of king, but he has a lot of like darkness, and then it starts to become suspected that he committed these murders. And it's really interesting because Yoongi actually references that king in the lyrics of Detrita. So like that was actually kind of an unintentional BTS link, and I was like, wait a minute, this is what, so that was really interesting. I also have a couple of books that I bought by an author named Axie O, Axieoh, but I haven't had a chance to read any of hers yet. Yeah, Javine, that's a good point too. Honestly, accurate. Ooh, and Hitchhiker Hobbit. I had actually have that. I have that one on my to be read list. Like I saw that one and wanted to buy it, so I'm glad to hear that it's a good one. And yes, you can totally ask questions. Ask away. Ask me anything. Yeah, Javine, it's honestly, a lot of like the social media and technology and stuff definitely changes our habits for sure. Makes it a lot harder to, kind of focus now than when we were younger. Also, Metaloop, I know you've been watching more in the background today, but if you wanted to ask me anything about liminal space or had anything you wanted to add about liminal space, I know we were talking a little bit on Discord, but if you wanted to add anything, please feel free. Because you all know my love of liminal space and how often I talk about liminal space on the channel. So we've been talking about it a lot on Discord too. Oh, Hitchhiker Hobbit. Great. That makes me so happy. Yeah, I was looking at that one thinking that that definitely sounded like it would be my vibe, so I'm glad to hear that it was a good one. I will definitely be getting that one. I'm hoarding my credits on Audible. Yeah, Don't Feed the Bears. I've always loved that about Namjoon and his style is it's, he's very much a poet. Um I'm I used to be more of a poet in high school than I am now, but I love poetry, and so I really I've always admired and appreciated that he's a poet too. Hitchhiker Hobbit, that's so funny. BTS, the ultimate distraction. The other unfortunate thing here, as well, where I live, is we don't have like the best library system, which is kind of a bummer. Our libraries are located in kind of weird places, so I never feel like I can go to a like for my where I grew up wasn't like that lively, but we at least had like a really big, really nice library, and I spent many a summer there just getting books like crazy, and I just like my local libraries now just kind of leave a lot to be desired. So that kind of also is the struggle with not being able to have as many books. Right, Javine? If anything is gonna destroy our brains and completely, zap our attention and attention span for anything else, if it's BTS, that's okay. Because I mean, honestly, we're still here, we're still doing analysis work, so I think that's we're still using our brains. That's the important part. Wow, Don't Feed the Bears. That's actually impressive. Were you able to do so? Were you able to memorize it? I just think being able to memorize any poem in general is impressive. Honestly, I used to. I don't know why, but I used to have the Jabberwocky by Lewis Carroll memorized, and I don't think I have it memorized anymore. I think I'm missing a stanza or two when I try and recount it. You're like, it is burned into my brain. Yeah, I have a lot of Korean history as well saved on Audible, things that I bought on previous sales. I have like probably like four or five different books on like Korean history that I need to get into. My Audible account is quite full. I have a lot of books. That's really cool. Don't feed the bears. I love that type of stuff. Any work like that that continues to change its meaning and evolve and change what it means to you as you go is so awesome. I love that type of thing. Whimsical Korean fantasies. That's just amazing. That is the vibe. That's kind of a lot of my favorite K dramas tend to be the same, honestly. I love the sci fi and fantasy in the K dramas too. And, anything that has like a, kind of upbeat magical feeling, of course, it's any good K drama is also going to have some like, comedy mixed in, some tragedy mixed in. But, anything that's like a fun fantasy vibe, I'm there for it. But it's good because then you can discover more, right? I know there's a couple that Namjoon has also recommended that seem very heavy, which isn't surprising because it's Namjoon. So there are a few that I'm kind of curious about just because he's recommended them and like some of them are very well known, but I'm just like, ooh, those seem like they'd be really heavy reads. Yeah, I'm very curious how those how you end up liking them. I'd love to know what those the Korean books that you read, how you feel about them. Then I'll add them to my list. And it's funny, Don't Feed the Bears. You had mentioned Crime and Punishment before, and how much of a struggle that was. Like, and it's kind of interesting because if I remember correctly, when I was researching for our book club with Omelas, that a lot of that dilemma in Omelas is also central to a lot of Dostoevsky's work. And so it's kind of interesting that I think even Crime and Punishment was specifically mentioned as like where the core idea comes from. Ooh, meta loop. That's a great question. Suggestions on what we can dive into regarding BTS and theories that we haven't touched on before. That's a fantastic question. Let me pull up my list of topics and see if there's. I feel like I've mentioned a lot of topics when we discuss various stuff together, even just on Discord. But let's see. I know literally just yesterday I had mentioned like the theme of mazes, which I'd love to dive into a bit more. Um, We haven't gotten, I mean, I know other armies have, but in our community, we haven't talked too much about the magic shop concept yet. I do have the book Into the Magic Shop downloaded as something that I would like to read and dive into. Something that I'm really kind of fascinated by that I'd also kind of love to jump into is like some of the kind of, again, kind of like very liminal space-esque, is like the theme of doors. Like there's a lot of doors in BTS's work, you know, like think of Fake Love, for instance, with the doors and things like that. And so some of the idea of like the locked doors, the open doors, it reminds me a little bit of Alice in Wonderland. It's a little bit liminally, you know, so there's a lot of interesting stuff there that could kind of be cool. Something I'd really love to do is unpack some of their concert VCRs. There's a lot of stuff in their concert VCRs that are very interesting thematically. A lot of things in some of their award show performances that are interesting thematically. I think some of those would be really interesting to unpack. Oh, that, yeah, I think I've heard of that one too, Javine. I honestly, I'm sure that you have done something that you totally deserve to have that book. What about the rest of you in regards to Metaloop's question? Are there any things, you know, like things for you in BTS's work that jump out at you that you've maybe never had a chance to like unpack? I have a lot. There's a lot of things that I have like personal opinions about, like ways that I relate to BTS's music that I'd love to talk about. You guys know that I already want to do like a video about like the theme of like dystopias and apocalypses in BTS's work, so that's something I love to talk about. So I have quite a few on my list. That, and you know, that one's on the book club list as well. What happened to my cursor? Let me scroll down. This is my old list for book club. Into the Magic Shop is definitely on there, so that's one that we could unpack at some point. Um, so yeah, there's a, I, like I said, I have that one on Audible, so I can definitely do that. Right? Yeah. I think Wings works really well as an audiobook. I do believe that. It's a good candidate for audio. And it once you get going with it, it does move pretty fast, so that's good at least. So before we start transitioning to wrap up, was there anything else that y'all were thinking about that you wanted to discuss? Any other questions you had for me? Any other topics that you wanted to bring up while we're here and chatting? Good question, Javine. I'm almost positive that I've heard of like a free alternate to Audible, but I don't remember what it's called right now. I'm sure like that's something that could probably be Googled fairly quickly. Let me see if I can find it on a quick Google search. Let's see, let's see. Libby. Libby's one that comes up if you Google search like free audiobook apps. But that might be like almost like a library. So I don't know if that would work. I don't know. Hey, Metaloop, I think that's the best thing about being an army theorist. Kind of like, do you remember my iceberg for the BTS universe? That is, I think, the best thing about being an army theorist is you can stay near the top or you can go all the way down to the bottom. Let's see. Javine's asking, will I have time during Festa? So my schedule's a little weird right now, so I should be okay. So for with Festa, um, let's see. I do work the very first day of Festa because of course I do. But I think that's just the picture. Let's see. Let's see. Where is my thing? There we go. Um, yeah, that'll be when the photos release. So that's not too bad. And then I should be able to get a lot of the content. I will be working the day that Run BTS comes out, but that's okay because my mom and I usually wait until later to watch it together anyway, so that's not too bad. And then I should be around for most of the other content, and I'll be around for like the concert live streams and stuff, so that'll be nice. So yeah, I was thinking so too, Hitchhiker Hobbit, that Libby seemed like it was more like library audiobooks. But I'm sure there's probably free like different versions out there that are in opposition to Audible, so you don't always have to. I mean, one of the things that I like about Audible is that you can find free books there. That's something that I really love, but you do usually still need a membership of some kind. But depending on what membership, it can still be a nice opportunity to read some of the free stuff, like the classics we were talking about before. A lot of classics tend to be free. Honestly, in terms of, so I obviously don't speak for everybody, but I think most of the people here today are some of the only people who like watched and commented on my liminal space video. I love that whenever I have like a more niche topic, it's kind of like my closest, my people. You are the ones who always show up and support me, and I appreciate it so much. Because I definitely know that that topic wasn't for everybody. But I was really glad that it was still like a fun topic that we could discuss, and a lot of you seem to enjoy. I agree, don't feed the bear. Sometimes it's good to have some abstract. It's very fun. And I appreciate that so much. Believe me, I appreciate it, and I love everybody in this community. We have such a cool community. Right? So do I. People who think and have ideas and use their brains and theorize, that's the best. That is always the best to me. And it's funny, Metaloop, since we've been having those conversations about liminality, especially on Discord, I've been thinking a lot about like where did my interest in liminal space and liminality come from? And I think if I had to try and pinpoint it, I think it's because of where I grew up. Because my hometown, where I spent, I moved to Florida when I was 21. So I spent all of my life in my hometown. And my hometown it's very historical, so like it has a lot of stuff from like the 17 and 1800s, but a lot of people primarily know it as a steel producing town. It had a very important steel mill there, and that steel mill closed down like literally the year I was born. It closed down in 1995, and it's still there, but and like the area around it has been revitalized, so now it's kind of, used for like events, and there's like a lot of cultural stuff that sprung up around it, and it's kind of like the backdrop. But it still kind of has this very eerie, abandoned, liminal feel even after the revitalization. So I honestly think growing up and going to that area and seeing the steel mill has a very liminal space feeling, and the loss of that steel mill kind of was very liminal for the town, so it's like there's a lot of liminality to where I grew up, and so I think that kind of cemented itself in my brain. I also think there's something very like a lot of liminal space when you transition from like the way a lot of things looked in the 90s and early 2000s to the way they look now. Like think about all the malls that are slowly dying and things like that. And like the massive change in aesthetic between the 90s and now. And so I think I just was really poised in a good spot, a good time period to kind of fall in love with that liminal space aesthetic. And then, so it's not surprising to me that it jumped out at me for BTS's work. And I'm so flattered that you think that that video was really spot on. And you've said so many nice things in the Discord server about it. And I'm so grateful, believe me, because I'm really glad that that theme resonated. Yeah, don't feed the bears. Me too. I have a lot of pictures of the area where the steel mill is, and I've taken a lot of pictures. Like even probably at this point, like 12 years ago, some of these pictures were, because they were obviously before I moved away. That have like a very beautiful but kind of spooky vibe to them, because they feel like so abandoned, but also like, there's a story there. And as a storyteller at heart, I think that's something that really speaks to me about liminal space too, is that it always feels like there's a story to tell there. And that's always quite exciting. You want to fill in the blanks. Yeah, that's very interesting. And it's okay, so it's kind of funny. I don't know have if any of you have heard the Billy Joel song Allentown, and there's a line in that where he rhymes Allentown with they're closing all the factories down. Allentown was the next town over from where I lived, and in a lot of senses, what Billy Joel is talking about in Allentown is actually what happened in my hometown, but the town didn't stagnate and die. And I think a lot of that is, a lot of things shifted to tourism because my town like was very like a lot of things kind of related to the American Revolution happened like in or around my town. So I think some of that also had an impact. It became more of like a tourist focus, and then they revitalized. So it's like we were able to bounce back really well. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. Yes, I love that description. Don't feed the bears. It's just everything feels so unfinished and just yeah. There's I think what I said in the liminal space video is like an eerie sense of nostalgia, and like you could definitely feel that when you go to like any of those like abandoned places. You feel it. You just kind of you feel that there's things left undone and unsaid. You know that there's stories there that are never gonna be told. It's kind of like that, if these walls could talk type of thing. You can definitely feel that in those spaces, and that's something that just draws me to liminal space. Whenever I see like very liminal photography, it's so eerie, but at the same time I look at those places sometimes and I'm like, I want to be there. Like I want to be there. And with liminality, and I know I discussed this in the video as well, people, because we go through so many liminal periods in our lives, and I think for some of us, we always feel in between, we always feel liminal.
And so I feel like those places speak to us. I always am very drawn, for instance, to places that are like at night, you know, like, and as a woman, as a young woman who is very small, I would never like go out at 3 a.m. by myself ever. But when I look at a picture of like a street at 3 o'clock in the morning, I think like, oh, I belong there. Like, I want to be on that street. Because when you kind of feel in between, or you feel like you kind of don't walk any sort of one path or the other, you don't fit in one place or the other, I think those in between places are really appealing. It actually reminds me a lot of what Namjoon talks about on Mono, which is part of why I love Mono so much. Is he very much talks about like Forever Rain, for instance, where he kind of talks about how he likes, in that song, he talks about liking rain, because he can feel like he sort of is walking, unchallenged, and it's his own time, and it's kind of like different from, the world becomes different. And I think that in a sense is very liminal too. So that's very much how I feel about a lot of those liminal places and liminal spaces that you see, and why I'm so drawn to them. Oh man, I can talk about this topic forever. That is awesome. That is, I am a huge fan of like nighttime. I'm a total night owl. And I'm always really interested by very, very late at night or very, very, very early in the morning, which are obviously also liminal periods of time. I so wish there's so many times. Now, another reason why I wouldn't go out at night is because I live in Florida and creepy crawlies come out at night. But otherwise, I would love to go out and just like, oh, that nighttime when it's quiet and, nobody's around. Love that. I love when people take liminal space pictures and they're like, it's like 3 a.m. I'm like, oh my God, yes. I love it. Yeah, beautiful in a sorrowful way, for sure. It's so interesting. And I really think it's so funny. I think a lot of like when I look back at my pictures that I took of, those very liminal space vibes in my hometown, some of it actually kind of does remind me of the BTS universe, which is why I think the BTS universe is such a good example of liminality, because it's really overt. It's really, really kind of in your face in the best way possible in the BU. And I love that. Maybe I on the far horizon, it's definitely not something that I have the time or the resources to do now, but I would still kind of love to do like some kind of podcast where I talk a little bit more long form about a topic than I can in a video, because I like to keep my videos a little shorter. And I could absolutely see a whole podcast episode dedicated to talking about liminality and liminal space and pointing out like liminal space in BTS's work and what it means. I think that would be a lot of fun. No, don't be sorry at all. I love it. I'm so happy. This is exactly what I was hoping for today. It's like I said at the beginning, it felt like such a long time since we've been able to have like a just for fun chat. I feel like it was January or February when we were last able to just have a kind of casual conversation. So it was fun to just be able to sit here and talk about things and hang out with you all. Such a fun way to spend the day. I'm so glad that we got to do this. Actually, and speaking of which, let me just jump back up to housekeeping for those of you who maybe came in a little bit later. This is the live stream schedule. This is also what I put in the community section of my channel, so you might have seen this already if you saw that post. But next live stream schedule is subject to change just because of my work schedule. If I end up working any of these days, I'll have to bump these off. But as of right now, I'm thinking the next book club for The Little Prince is going to be on June 28th, and then our next chatting live stream will be July 19th. So that'll be, I know a lot of you who are in Europe will have had your concerts around that time, so I'd love to hear about your concert experiences then. So all dates subject to change, but otherwise that's what I'm thinking will be our next 2 live streams. And also for those of you who just came in, my Pied Piper video is almost at a milestone. It's almost going to hit 10,000 views. And so thank you all for that so much. It's literally like the app disagrees with the website. It's either like 5 views away or 3 views away from 10K. So I'm so flattered. Thank you all so much. for that, I can't thank you enough. So that'll be about it for me today. If Yeah, I'm so excited. I literally have like in my notes, I'm like, this is gonna be everybody's post-concert stream. I can't wait to hear about all your concert stuff. So I figured we'd have a whole day dedicated to just, having a conversation. Oh, that'll be so nice. That'll be like early birthday stream for you. I love that. That'll be great. But yeah, so that's about all I have today for you all. So let me know if you had any other questions or comments before we start wrapping things up. But otherwise, we'll start wrapping things up for the day. Thank you, Hitchhiker Hobbit. I appreciate that. It'll be at 10K before we know it, and I'm so happy about that. So thank you so much. I'm really proud of that video, so I'm really happy that it did well. Oh no, Javine. Oh no, I'm sorry. It is possible that I might have to move that one off to the 5th of July. I'm not sure yet because I don't have my work schedule. So there's a possibility it might have to move, but if not, you can always, if you're traveling and you can't stop in, you can always like leave a comment later. I would love, I always love the comments, even if they're not, on the live stream. I always read your comments. I love to hear everything. So if you have any thoughts that you wanted to add, or if you want to, I know we already have a pre-conversation going on Discord for the Little Prince. So if you read the Little Prince and you want to leave any comments on Discord, we already have that topic going. So you are so welcome, Hitchhiker Hobbit. Thank you for being here. I always love having the opportunity to just have fun and chat with you guys. So thank you all so much for being here. And thank you, Metaloop, for the congratulations on 10K for Pied Piper. Thank you. You're gonna have such a good time, Javine. I'll be so excited to hear about your experiences. I can't wait to hear. I'm really looking forward to all of you who are seeing BTS in Europe to hear about what's going on and be able to chat with you about that. I'm really looking forward to that. And then my concert will be in August, so I'll do a post-concert stream after my second concert in August. But I can't wait to hear about your guys' experiences. I'm so excited for you. Oh yeah, I figure we'll be doing it around the same time, so 6 a.m. Yikes. Oh, you're so welcome, Don't Feed the Bears. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I always love seeing you. It's always so good to chat. So I hope you all have a great rest of your day, great rest of your afternoon or evening, depending on where you are. Thank you for stopping by, spending some time with me, hanging out and chatting. It was a lot of fun as always. So thank you all so much for being here. And like I said, this stream will go up like all the other ones. So leave any other comments that you have. And for those of you on Discord, feel free to poke me on Discord if you have a question that you didn't think of. Oh, that's cute. I love that, Javine. That's such a fun freebie. That'll be great. People love those. Alrighty, I will see you all later, and I hope you, like I said, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you again very soon. And don't forget, next stream will be book club, so make sure you have The Little Prince if you want to read it or read a summary, and we'll be having some fun discussions about the story and about how it relates to Moon and some other BTS stuff. So I don't have a PO box, Javine, but I should get one. It's kind of on my to-do list, so one of these days I'll get a PO box. But that's very sweet. Thank you for thinking of me. At the very least, I'd love to see pictures of it. So when they're done, go ahead and post pictures on Discord. All right. Bye, everybody. I'll see you. Take care, everybody. And And have a great rest of your day and a good week, couple of weeks, since it'll be a little bit before we're on stream again. Have a good couple of weeks. And as always, you can leave me a comment or hit me up on Discord. So I will talk to you guys very soon. Bye-bye.